Welcome to the Beautiful Game. As always, I am Blake here with Ferris.
Hola.
And back from his gallivanting around the world, Ron.
What's happening?
That's right. On tonight's episode of the Beautiful Game, we're going to be discussing title racing coming to an end as Man City are crowned champions over Arsenal with one team. Also, we're going to cover one team already confirmed is going down. And boy, did they. Another team this weekend avoids relegation fight on the last day, or can avoid it on the last day. Gosh, this relegation fight's nasty to the end. And then we'll, of course, cover all of the other results from the Premier League and look at a few of the clubs who might be coming to join us in the La Liga's Roundup.
Uh-huh.
Ron.
What?
La Liga's Roundup.
Thank you.
There it is. Sorry.
I don't know if you listened to the pod where you weren't here. We had to do that. I had to do that with my mouth. It was
I
bad.
did. You guys were pretty funny on that.
But first up, sorry. And then, of course, before we get to the Liga's Roundup, I almost forgot the most important part.
Mm-hmm.
We're passing it over to the world traveler of the pork belly, Ron, as he fills our brain with knowledge in this edition of Ron's Beer News. Then we'll go over to the La Liga's Roundup.
Look, guys, it's a new setup. I don't want to hear it.
That was amazing.
Oh.
Those listening at home that cannot see, Ron has got a new setup, new computers set up, and I empathize because I'm still struggling, and I'm like episode 6 with my new setup, and I get it.
Why doesn't stuff just fit the way it should fit? Jeez.
Oh, man. I got like one of the larger standing desks from Uplift, and I'm already frustrated I didn't get the one that was just a bit larger.
Right.
Now, yeah, I was like, it's more than enough room. Anyway, well, we're not sponsored by Uplift, but if you would like to sponsor us, please do. Shall we move on to the beer, gents, before we get into the soccer?
Sure.
You guys said you wanted to kick off first.
Sure.
Exquisite looking.
Yeah, because
bottle.
ours is actually already open because it was a wax on top of this bomber of a bottle that took one of us were trying to fight the urge to go to the ER tonight by trying to get that thing off because it was interesting.
It was quite a thick wax coating around that. Normally, it's not quite so bad, but man, it's a good thing we opened it before the pod because it was like a 10-minute ordeal.
Yeah, we would have had to pause the pod and then come back to it. But from a brewery we recently had on the pod in the local area, Tactical Brewing Company. This is a 750 milliliter bottle and 7%. It's called Rise of the Piñatas. It's a Mexican lager aged in Mexicali barrels.
I love the name is just perfect.
And it's like just a black bottle, and at the bottom there's this like piñata that's like come to life with these like rows of teeth chasing after what is somebody that looks like they're wearing like a scarf and a suit and getting ready, like they were getting ready to hit the piñata, and he is running away in fear. So it's, the piñatas are fighting back in this Mexican lager.
That whole description just made me thirsty for a Mexican lager.
Right. And
I thought about you because I discovered a new Mexican restaurant down the way from us. There was an old house that's converted, so it's not around any other businesses, sitting on a hillside staring at the hills. And I was like, we're sitting on the porch, little flags waving. I was like, I got to bring Ferris here. This is
heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah. Well, gents, I got a beer that is a follow-up to Ron's beer news that prior to leaving that he was covering.
You got a Bud Light?
I was going to say, you've got one of those
I'll be darned.
great Dylan Bud Light cans.
Nobody. Just in case anyone's got any questions of where Blake stands, I'm going to send you a picture right now so you can see exactly what this is. I'm drinking. I'm very proud to drink it.
Michelob Ultra.
Nope. Ron's pulling up the picture right now.
Yeah.
I invite you to go to drinkgaybeer.com as I am drinking a gay beer. Born in Brooklyn, golden lager. Gay beer was created to start a conversation and make a connection. Intended to be a pioneer in change and inclusivity in the beer market, gay beer is custom brewed to be damn good craft beer while reflecting the richness and integrity of the LGBTQ plus community. Drinkgaybeer.com.
Hell yeah.
Good for you.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kudos to my wife. She found this one and was like, "You're not gonna believe what I found." I was like, "Perfect."
She always finds some good beers when she's out and about.
She's on the hunt, and we'll let that close out Ron's beer news from a couple episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
The website's great, by the way. Totally recommend checking that out. Oh! I should say, sorry, I kind of described what it was, but it is the beer is craft beer, never tasted and looked so good. Brewed with a choice blend of Vienna malt and Mandarina hops. Gay beer is a golden lager with notes of honey, crisp citrus that's sure to satisfy you beer drinkers. Light-bodied, refreshing, and crafted to reduce gluten. Go straight for Gay beer. Now available for delivery in 45 states.
That's brilliant.
That's awesome.
What a great tagline.
Yep. Go straight for Gay beer. That's brilliant.
Oh, that is flippin' delightful. I can't wait to try this.
Oh, heck
dude,
yeah.
That beer looks delicious you guys poured. Effervescent. You guys ready?
I think so.
Hold on, mine wasn't open yet. I had to crack mine. All right, cheers, gents.
Cheers. Oh, quite tasty.
You'd love this, Ferris.
Yeah.
Because like the golden lager, it makes me think of like a Mexican lager where they have that slightly sweeter malt on it to balance kind of things out.
Yep.
Yeah, this is really good.
So
This is a bit of a smoky Mexican lager.
Yeah. Well, because it's made in those Mexical barrels, and Mexical is usually distilled an alcohol beverage made of a type of agave. So it what it kind of means in a way is oven cooked agave, and the barrels are gonna add a little bit more of that smoky type feel. And I don't think I've ever had a Mexican lager quite like this. It meets a lot of those just easy drinking, nice, smooth Mexican lager qualities that you like, with a little bit of that hint of those barrels that are kind of common through. Touch of agave, not a lot, but gosh darn, I should have gotten 2 of these because this thing's gonna go quick.
It's 8.5%.
It is. Whoops.
My wife had found a bunch of different singles that she had snagged that all look great, that I was trying to decide what to do for the pod, and I'm gonna go back and get a 6-pack. This is friggin' great. Talk about a game day beer. This is really, really good. Like, you know what it makes me? I wish I had this and what's the taco joint, the Tin and Taco that would go to before the Orlando matches?
Yeah. Yep.
That's what I want to pair this with very bad right now.
Heck yeah. We were at Tin and Taco a few weeks back before a Orlando City game, and this beer. Man, I wish I would have gotten 2 of these. This thing's damn good.
It is quite tasty.
Hey man, 2 for 2 tasty beers. Shall we move on to the soccer?
Let's do it.
To the footy.
All right, over to the football. Man, speaking of, we're about to have EAFC instead of FIFA. Isn't that crazy? We should talk about that at some point.
Yeah, we'll talk about that over the summer because it doesn't come out until about that time. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
All right, gentlemen, here we go. Starting us off first, Manchester City win the Premier League. Despite Man City not playing on Saturday, they were once again crowned Premier League champions as Arsenal lost their second in a row with a 1-0 loss away to Nottingham Forest. A day later, Man City lifted the Premier League trophy for a 3rd time in a row in front of their home crowd at Etihad Stadium following the 1-0 win against Chelsea. This is Man City's 3rd Premier title in a row and their 5th under the leadership of Pep Guardiola.
5th in 6 years, right?
No, because Chelsea and Liverpool have won titles in that time, from what I can remember.
Oh, I thought it was only Liverpool.
No, because he came in after. Now, Man City had won a few, and then when we started the pod, Leicester won that year.
Right.
And I want to say Man City won the next, Chelsea won the next one, Man City won the next 2, Liverpool won in 2020, Man City won the last.
Because that was Conte, right? Was that a Conte win for Premier League for Chelsea?
I believe so. Yeah.
Because Conte came in, you guys had ended like low, right? Like, and then the following year,
something like that.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Regardless, they're stupid good.
So,
right,
before we get into the teams that were at the top, because I think they'll get lost in the shuffle, and I don't want it to. Let's throw some love to Nottingham since they're listed up here.
Yeah.
So officially, right?
Yep.
They survive, right?
They were in that fight, and with this win, it's officially secured their place in the Premier League again.
So they did a good job then firing their coach and getting a new one, right?
Nottingham didn't do that.
Exactly.
They correct.
They struggled and they stuck with their dude.
Cooper, right?
Oh, it's 2020, and I realize that. But I did find it interesting following that match. It was like, wow, they stuck with their guy. They avoided relegation, and Leeds is squeaking it out. It worked out for Bournemouth. Obviously, they got a different manager, but like,
yeah. And not only did Steve Cooper lead them to survival in a time where remember they were at bottom of the table for at least the first few months with a really horrendous goal difference to start. It was always kind of them in Hampton now. Slowly kind of up. They got some big wins over the year, and they are really, really good at the city ground, and that's important for teams that just come up. You win or you get points at home. That's crucial, right? Because half of your season's played there. If you have a good home form, you usually will be okay. They got some big wins. A big win over Arsenal, who you would have thought would have gone in there and just wiped the floor with them. They gotten some big wins over Liverpool. Liverpool not quite what they have been, but still that attacking power. So they've gotten some big wins at home throughout the season. And Steve Cooper did what essentially Graham Potter couldn't do. Yeah, you don't have the price tag on some of these players, but remember how many players they brought in to start the season?
So many.
And then how many they brought in the January transfer window?
And we were also really worried that since they had dumped most of that team, that they were going to end up getting relegated because they had so many new players that didn't know how to play with each other.
Yeah, but one of the crucial ones that helped turn their season around was in January when they signed Keylor Navas.
Yeah.
And the impact that he's had in goal there when Dean Henderson went down and was going to be out for a bit. He is a world-class World Cup champion goalie. He is, Champions League, He is an incredible goalie, and he literally stole them some points in games throughout the season. So to bring in all this cacophony of players that weren't favored by other clubs, not your big name that Chelsea has brought in your Enzos and Udrichs and those type of things that are just high-priced young players that they had to pay an arm and a leg for. This was, yes, they had to pay an arm and a leg for some vets and for some journeymen, if you will, but for Steve Cooper to kind of rally the squad, get those wins at home and get some very big points, they absolutely deserve to stay up once again, and what a job. And we'll talk here about the teams that are below them that are kind of in that fight, but for now they're in 16th and 16 up, all safe.
And they actually did they draw City earlier in the year too? Might have, yeah. Yes, I feel like they had a draw to City and beat Arsenal. So of the top two, they actually had a quite a good season. That's three.
They also beat Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time of the year, Spurs weren't as bad a dumpster fire. But still, a win over a top 10 team is still great for them.
Our Premier League wrap up is gonna be a fun. It's hard almost not to get there now. You know what I mean? I know we've got one more episode, or another set of game days, so we can actually get to our end of the Premier League season. But man, it's like hard to not get into some of that right now.
Yeah, they drew City 1-1 in February.
Yeah. So yeah, that was Nottingham. There you go, and I still get to do my bad Christian. What's his name? Not Christian Bale. The guy who was in the Robin Hood movie who couldn't do an accent very well. There was a rich man from Nottingham. Christian Slater. There you go. It just makes me think of him all the time. So there you go. We can get our Robin Hood references in there.
True.
So,
and boy, did they steal these points and stole from the richness of Arsenal and fed it to the City Ground crowd there as they're staying up.
Yep.
There's like two talking points. It's funny because you didn't really You didn't spread them out in this way. So the two talking points are like, obviously everybody going, Arsenal bottled the league. The other talking point is, man, five trophies in 7 years, on their way to potentially a treble. They easily took care of Real Madrid. Like, is this just how it is? This, the hyperbolic talk is, are we moving to, a league like PSG, to the La Liga, where you have a PSG that sits up top? And
yeah, and I don't think we are. I think there's a lot of fact in everything that you just said. Fact that our Man City, the tyrant in the league that they currently are, yes, and a lot has to do with Pep and the players that they bring in. You see that Holland effect and kind of how that's playing, and they have a chance to do something that hasn't been done since 1999 and 2000. They are a juggernaut, and when it counted and when they needed to, they turn that page, and it seems to always happen, right? It happens about every year with them. They're playing, they're good, they're great. Yeah, we'll do a little Champions League, we'll do this, and then come February, come early March, they kick the tires and just boom.
What was the year? What was the final on the year that they beat Liverpool? And it was like they had 96 points and Liverpool had 93. I mean, no one had ever done
just last year. Remember, they won it on the last day. It went down to the last day. So,
Yeah.
But they are that good. Another fact is Arsenal did bottle this. Being 248 days at the top of the table, you start doing the math. There's only 365 days in a year. You take out 60 days, 70, 80 days because they're not going to play. You take out another 20, 30, 40 days because of the World Cup. That is a ton of time at the top of the league. They are a team that no team has held top of the table as long and not won title. That is a bottle job. But another fact is, did Arsenal improve this year and kind of outreach the expectation that we all thought they had? We had an interesting chat chain that we're in with a few friends of the pod and Tony and Phil.
It was spicy.
It was, absolutely. But it's interesting, right? Spicy equals interesting. But Phil asked, Ron, where did you have Arsenal at, when we ranked them at the start of the year? And we'll go over that on the next pod. But when we look back, all four of us had Arsenal somewhere in the top four. I think when we saw them here in, July, they played we were like, holy crap, this is not the same Arsenal that we're used to seeing. And that definitely translated even more so in the Premier League season. So I think you can look at a lot of facts and a lot of things and say, are Man City the juggernaut that they are? And yes, 100%. Did Arsenal bottle this? Yes, 100%. Did Arsenal vastly improve and outreach those expectations? Yes, 100%. And Blake, as an Arsenal fan, we know how excited you are for what the promise of this club and this team and the direction that they're going in is.
The needle has not gone up for a while. So there's still a lot of, man, I don't get the internet sucks. You should never read the comments. I don't understand people. Like, you're just like, guys, you know how bad things were for a bit there. Like, that sucks. It sucks to get that close and not make it, but like, that's not burn it all down. I've been in burn it all down.
Oh yeah.
And I don't understand. That's an odd take. That's an odd take to me. I mean, the big thing is though, the problems are obvious. You need more depth, specifically on the back line. You can't lose a guy and just not be able to. I mean, Arsenal has always been scored on. Very few clean sheets this year. But you can't lose Saliba and then just crumble. And I know also Tomiyasu was hurt, so there wasn't the switch around. But like, man, if you don't come out the gate swinging with like a controlling midfielder and I think your stability to score is fine. And I know this is kind of maybe getting into the next pod's territory, but like you have to address that defense situation for your bench. Obviously now because you're in a Champions League too, but that's just crazy to lose someone and completely like you've lost all your definition.
I mean,
yeah,
I think you're absolutely right. You definitely need some script back there. You probably need a new right back, left back, and another center back because Zinchenko, as much of a morale boost and passion that he plays with, is a hair above Dalot in his defensive abilities of actually trying to defend anybody worth a damn in the league. Ben White, sexy as hell. You kind of lost if he's playing center back or right back half the time, and really no offensive.
He has to play his actual position,
right? So then he leaves you with Saliba and who's the other big lad in there?
Tomiyasu was hurt.
Yeah, well. But he when you guys were going on your run, he never really got in. Remember, Arteta played that same squad over and over and over again. Who's the center back?
Like this previous without Saliba, he would have started. You know what I mean? Like,
I can't remember whoever that other center back is.
Tierney?
Gabriel. No. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's not a start, right? He can be depth, but you need somebody else in there next to Saliba. The other thing is, for as much as was bought for Arsenal and kind of done this past year, Jesus not the answer for up front. Martinelli and Saka and Odegaard did a majority of that work, and really without Jesus in there, you can argue guys were almost better because you continued that run and if not a lot more all throughout February,
although
January,
he
and
did
March.
Come back and score though.
But when he came back, he did. But then points started to be dropped. And I think there was a correlation there somehow. And we won't necessarily go into that, but the amount of games that Arsenal was going through at that time without him. And Nketiah, who was given the number 17 shirt, kind of brought... You can argue that was a change, and a change not in a good way. Not going to lay it on his feet. But, you look now, and Partey, what a horrid last month he's had.
Yeah, he was a linchpin. So in the earlier games they were shaky on. He was shaky. But then he was a linchpin, and then he
just fell off.
Completely fell off. And then Xhaka's not going to be there anymore. And that was his partner.
Yeah. And but that's part of, again, not having enough, like, you're having an off game. I can't even pull you because I don't have the depth to pull you. You know what I mean? Like that, they've got to address those spots. And if they address those spots and continue to move forward, great. I mean, I'll from eighth and eighth to just outside of Europe to into the Europa into second place, standing back. That's a good.
That's good progress. Yeah.
However, it means that you're like, well, the next spot's number one, which is a tough spot to be in. It's not like you squeezed into fourth and everybody goes, holy crap, they did it. Or let's say we confidently nailed third. Everyone would be like, man, he did it. He said he was going to get him in there and he got him in there. You know what I mean? Well, but you get that close to it. And so now it's going to be, well, you have to go. Not that you're not always go for it, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, yeah.
Well, I think the expectation also has to be there and ties in with the depth is you got to be better in the cups. You're going to Champions League next year, which you're going to have to play at a high level. And there's a possibility being on where some of these teams are throughout the rest of Europe and this seems just like it's going to happen to Arsenal. The pot that they're in, they could draw Barcelona and Bayern in the same group to open up because of where everybody
didn't that finish. Just change though because of Juventus?
Well, I said Barcelona, but I saw Barcelona and Bayern. Reason being,
but I'm saying Juventus dropped points and it might move Arsenal's pot.
It could, but it's because they're going to get anyways. But
yeah,
then you went out early in both the domestic cups, put all your eggs in this basket. Didn't quite have the depth there either to kind of see it over the line and gave up points. Not the worst run, but three draws. A lot can argue that not necessarily Liverpool, but the West Ham and Southampton games were big as up goals and having to fight back from Tuna. That Man City game was just a demolition. Came back against Chelsea, no big feat. Beat Newcastle, but then turned around and got walloped by Brighton, and then obviously beaten by Nottingham. Not the worst run, but a run just enough to lose points at the correct time with, what is the juggernaut of City right on the coattails.
I actually feel like Newcastle comes out looking pretty bad in this. Like, hey, bro, what happened to you? You managed to beat Arsenal in the worst run and gave them their best game.
But for Man City, you look at what Pep's done, and it's getting up there in those Sir Alex type talks. I think kind of like Jordan and LeBron, it's never going to quite be, quite up. LeBron in some people's minds are never going to quite pass Jordan, and a lot of people's mind, Pep's never going to pass Sir Alex. But what he's doing, you look at what did we say in January when he let Joel Cancelo go out and away to Bayern after the season that he was having. He let Jesus go. He let Zinchenko go. He let all of those players go, and yet they still got stronger.
Yeah.
He put John Stones in a center defensive midfield position. John Stones, a center back for England, in a center defensive midfield position. Inverted the right backs and left back. He did things that were innovative and has been doing it for some time, but then sticking true to a lot of the principles in which they do. And to have injuries on the back line like a Laporte, like a Diaz, but to filter in the Akanjis and Akes, and for them to kind of retain that style of play and keep that level of play for them. You see what Jack Grealish is doing. When you bring off the bench people like Mahrez and Foden, and that's a hell of a squad. And he is the conductor for everything that they do.
I kind of wish this financial investigation would just happen fast. And I'm about to say this and it clears Man City, because I really don't imagine they win the treble and all the things you're saying, people are saying. I don't know, what if in 2 years they file against, and it comes against Man City? I don't know. Just that sucks for the history of the Premier League. And yeah, I'm not saying, look, if it's true that if they can come out and go, yep, here it is, here's the proof that in the pudding, then fine. Let honesty win out. But if it's not, and it's considered okay or not enough then I just wish they'd wrap it up now.
Well, here's the thing. They can deduct them 10 points. They're probably still going to beat the entire league by 10 points. The Premier League might spot everybody.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? If they drop 10 points and they still win the Premier League, 91 points.
It's we'll spot the entire league. Yeah. 10 points and we'll still win.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on the web calling for, titles to be stripped and all that. And I think that's pretty unlikely to actually happen. If they had that if it was that bad, transgression by Man City, we'd have all known about it by now. And
unless there's just something, that's what's it. And if something comes out that's whoa, okay. But I agree. I feel
it's a dangerous precedent to strip titles, right? You've got to have some major incursion of the rules that shows they were definitely trying to
knowledge intent.
Yeah, that they were definitely trying to evade the rules and purposefully, knowingly cheating the off. And I don't think that's going to be the case.
Here's the thing, though. Newcastle spreading up because they're now owned, and it could be, semi-state included unofficially. Man City is in the same boat. Man United wants to be owned by a state entity, possibly. There's just you and me in London, buddy, just with dumb American owners keeping it pure.
Oh, by the way, I sent you guys
money.
I sent you guys the yearly vote that I get to do for Manchester.
Yeah, I saw that.
I did stock.
I want to buy Manchester United stock so I can vote for him.
Right, but my vote clearly has never done anything because it's such a small share. That's actually,
I've opened my little Fidelity app and thought the same thing. I just buy all one so I get to vote too.
I have 7 shares.
How Ferris is going to vote, and then you vote against it, so you cancel out his vote every time.
No, but it's my vote. I've been voting the Glazers out for years since I've owned the stock, but it's not going to happen. And that saga, geez, we may be getting to that more in the summer. It's still going on. So some improved bids. A lot of thought is that the Qatar bid's going to go through, but that's still a long way off, and the Glazers have to be kind of willing to sell. But yeah, Blake, I to kind of cap this and move on, and to Ron's point, if it was that big and that, blatant of cheating, like I said, it probably would have come out by now. It's going to be tied up in courts. I hope that it doesn't happen to where it reduces somebody's title like that. You can point deduct them. That's more seemingly common to what happens in the English game as a whole. And if anything, that will probably, occur and could start at the beginning of next season. But in terms of what Manchester City has done on the totality of the season so far and what they could still do, they're playing for a Champions League final. They're playing for an FA Cup final. They could be the first team since 99-2000 to win the treble. It's hard to argue that they're not just a very well-coached, amazing talent depth team.
Oh, look, it doesn't make it hurt any less, but if this is who's going to win instead of Arsenal after that run, God, especially if they win the treble. Ron, are you pulling for him for the treble? Are you pulling for him in the FA Cup?
So the only reason I say yes,
because Ron's got in-laws now.
No, it has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. It really
he would pick them just to go against me and the jersey that I currently got on.
I mean, we know I like to be contrary. The reason I'm kind of pulling for it is because out of all the teams in the recent-ish past that have had treble talk poised about them throughout the season, I feel like this is the year that history can actually be made. And I wasn't following Premier League football very much when the last treble happened. So to see it happen, since it happens so infrequently, to see it happen while we're such diehard fans and see history get made like that is kind of a cool thing. Just like Leicester winning the Premier League, right? I think it would be a cool thing to happen. I don't want them to be all amazing and smug, but
Ron, you gotta come to Knoxville sometime and watch a Man City game with the MCFC Knox supporters as they watch it at the bar famous for their sour beers.
Oh, gross.
That's not it really is a rad bar, Ferris.
It's definitely not going.
Right. Yeah. But it's their sours. That's what they're known for. They're good.
So I was in real quick, and then we got to move on. I was up in Canada for my wife's family to throw us this massive set of baby showers, which was a lot of fun. And her brother, my wife's brother, who is a Manchester City fan, handed me a large present in the middle of one of these, moments during the baby shower where we're all just kind of sitting around and eating and BSing. And he taps his glass like he's going to make this big speech. And he's like, I'm really excited for your baby to come. And we're excited. There's an addition to the family. And he was just laying on this really nice kind of syrupy, a little uncharacteristic for him chat.
That's sandbagger.
And then he drops this present. He's like, I got a present for you. And he drops it. And it's a white bag with Manchester City blue, tissue paper in it. And I was just like, oh no, I know exactly what this is. And sure, it's 2 different sets of outfits with Man City logos on it. And my wife couldn't have been happier. She was just giggling in the corner. And I was just like, oh, Seriously?
Don't let stereotypes fool you. Not all Canadians are nice.
No, exactly.
Especially that jerk who iced. Well, actually, Ron also iced the stick.
Yeah, but that's what I was like. He got you back for sandbagging us about a year ago.
What is the icing?
Us.
Just so people know who are listening again, Ron, if you would.
Icing is when you take a Smirnoff Ice and you hide it in such a way that the person you are trying to ice has to discover it, and when they discover it, they have to pop it and drink it on a knee, and they have to chug the whole thing. And preferably you want it warm because it's really fizzy and makes
it's
everybody...
also extremely tough to drink something that
so
fast,
terrible.
that cold. Yeah.
So terrible. But at least I had the decency to do mine in private with like 3 or 4 other people. It wasn't, in front of the entire wedding party.
Hey, I'm going to get married in like 2 hours. I'm going to, as you guys get in your suits, which you're trying to button into, and you got to get on one knee and ice. Oh man, that's smeared. Oh man.
Yeah, that was pretty tough. But yeah, so I'm 100% sure that my wife is going to dress our child in Man City gear. And they were smart, by the way. This is, if you're going to play a prank on someone, don't buy them the onesies that are 0 to 3 months, right? Because the baby's going to grow out of those pretty fast.
Yep.
So
fast.
he got one in 0 to 3 months,
Jerk.
3 to 6, 6 to 12,
wise
and
guy.
12 to 18.
Yep.
I was like, you're rotten. But it was pretty fun. Everybody had a good laugh, and yeah.
And timing couldn't have been better because they won the league.
Yep. And he did it on the day they won the league.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, even worse. Oh my gosh.
All right. Can we stop talking about them now?
Well, I mean, just look at it this way. How's this for a segue? If, God forbid, your child becomes a City fan, and the 3 of us will do all we can to keep that happening. They probably can always celebrate them in the Premier League, whereas I've got to explain to my poor daughter that the Foxes probably won't be on Daddy's TV as much next year, because she always asks which one can on. She goes, "Where's the Foxes?" I'm like, "Ugh." She's like, "Oh, they have 19 points. They got more." I was like, "That's not how it works, kids. Sorry." That's 19th place.
You're going to have to go searching through ESPN on some random time to find an EFL game with Leicester in it.
They're actually, a lot of them are on the same time that the Premier League ones are on, but they're on. Yeah, they play like 50 games in a season. It's wild. Anyways.
So that's my segue for us, Ferris. You want to, it's a weird one, but you want to, would I sweep to Leicester? Because we kind of talked about Nottingham, right?
Yeah. Well, there's okay. So there's cacophony of bad teams down at the bottom, right? As many of you know by now, and I don't think they were relegated quite last time we did a pod, but Southampton officially were said goodbye to, as they were relegated from the Premier League. 0 chance. They're done. They're going down. Bye. Well, Nottingham, with that win, as we said, secured them safety into the Premier League next season. All right. So where does that leave us now? Well, Everton's last-minute goal against Wolves saw them gain a crucial point. When I say last minute, in the 99th minute of like 90 plus 10 or something.
I heard our friend Carafost yell from...
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Dude, like...
right?
Jeez.
Crucial point that gained them a point, as I said, and they're now on 33 points in 17th place, currently safe as we sit today. Well, yesterday, Leicester City also got a big point with the 0-0 draw against Newcastle United, which put them on 31 points, but in 18th place and in the relegation zone. Also in 18th place, Leeds United on Sunday gave up 3 unanswered goals to West Ham after going up 1-0 and suffered a brutal loss on the road, 3-1. Leeds are now in 19th place in the relegation zone on 31 points, but they do have an inferior goal difference with minus 27, which is 9 more than Leicester and 3 more than Everton. So how we kind of recap all of that, the 3 teams that are going to fight for the single spot are Everton in 17th place on 33, currently safe. Leicester.
Who do they play next week?
They play... Well, they all play at home. So Everton will take on Bournemouth at Goodison Park. And then Leicester City, who are in 18th place, that first relegation spot, 31 points. So 2 points back. And then
they're playing West Ham.
West Ham at home. And then Leeds in 19th place, also in 31 points, but with a minus 27 goal difference. They are at home at Ellen Road, and they take on Tottenham.
Which is weirdly a winnable game.
Yes. But
I'm not a jerk, but you're right. I actually feel like if anyone can be Spursy, it's going to be the Spurs. But West Ham has shown some real backbone here, and Leicester.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, Bournemouth, bro, that ain't an easy game for Everton at all.
No.
Bournemouth definitely been a better team than them this year.
Everton's the only team that does not have to win. Now, that's putting their faith in both Leicester and Leeds that they're not going to get anything out of the game. Just a draw will not be good enough for Leicester or Leeds.
Okay, guys, we've been doing it every week. Where are we at now? What are we thinking?
I said Southampton, Leicester, and Everton. I think I said that. Maybe I said Leeds. I don't remember. I didn't actually take note of the ones from a few weeks back.
Well, these are off the hip. I'm not counting these as
to be honest with you, I think the way that it sets out right now is the way it's going to end. I think it's good. I think Everton might get something from their game at home. Leicester and Leeds are just two not very good teams.
I think Leicester is too dire. I think Leeds is going to win that game.
Which is fine, because if they win and Everton win, they're still going down. So, yeah, I mean...
Everton would have to completely screw this game, and Leeds would have to win in order for those two to kind of trade places.
Yeah, they would have to...
I find that likely.
I think Blake, you're thinking of the right. I think Everton and Leeds are the most likely to win their games based on the home crowds and the stadium that they're playing in. Leicester seems like they've been a just kind of a sitting duck for the whole season, and it's tough.
But I could easily see Everton losing their game against Bournemouth.
Agreed. So if Everton lose, Leicester and Leeds both win, Leicester goes up. Unless somehow Leeds makes up the 9-goal difference.
Everton loses, Leicester loses, Leeds wins. They survive. It's Leicester, Everton, Southampton. There's my last vote.
I think the math is too hard for everybody. It's gonna be Leicester, Leeds, and Southampton history.
That's what I think too. Yeah.
I think this has been a funky season.
And they all play at the same time. So remember, every season on Sunday, I think it's 11:30 or something like that, they all play at the exact same time. So that will be the biggest kind of fight to see there, because that's about the only thing that's really up for grabs now. We'll get into a few others here in a second for Europe spots, but some of those have already been secured. So relegation, Everton, Leicester, Leeds. Leicester and Everton, one of those two clubs that have been in the league for quite a while now. One even won a Premier League, as we said several years back, could go down.
And you know what's crazy? Villa, for the first time in a real long time, could be getting into some Europa action.
They could.
Yeah.
Assuming that they win or draw their match and Tottenham lose, they're going to be in the Europa Conference League qualified. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
Where was Villa earlier in this season?
I mean, Emery. I mean, if they get into Europe, I think Emery, honestly, if Man City wins the treble, it's Pep. But like, man, if they were to get into Europe, Emery stands a real shot at like a manager of the season. To come in when he did and turn around that hard is really impressive. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
he should get Big Sam's money.
Yeah, right. But speaking of which, Big Sam found a 5-pound note on the ground and jokingly tried to hand it to the assistant ref.
Assistant referee,
And
the
ref
fourth
got it.
official. Yeah,
the fourth official. Oh man, you know, in the midst of all of that, you got to appreciate Big Sam's kind of humor with all of that.
Yeah, he's like, I'm making $600K. Maybe I make a little more. Maybe I don't. We'll see what happens.
Classic. But
funny.
Let's get into all the other results, as there are some people that are confirmed in Europe.
Boom. So over to the rest of the results from the Premier League. That was my Eartha Kitt from Batman 66 version.
She's
saying,
no offense, but she was way better.
Yeah, she was way better. The wrong lever.
Wrong lever, crunk.
Let's see. Tottenham once again handed a European blow as they lost 3-1 to Brentford at home. I really thought Arsenal was going to win this weekend only because we started there. That was how the weekend started. And I felt like, oh, come on, guys. Let's do this. With this win, Tottenham can only qualify for the Europa Conference League, while so can Brentford. David De Gea wins the Golden Glove Award as he has recorded his 17th clean sheet in the Premier League as Manchester United win 1-0 over Bournemouth. That's wild, right? Because it's like hero or zero with him.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, he's still arguably one of the best keepers playing the game.
But not the love he's been getting from the pundits, though. They've been harsh.
Yeah,
especially when he does, some just head scratchers of how did that get past you? Why did you pass Maguire the ball? Like there's just a handful of those that just make you go, wait, what?
Do you want to know my prediction with all this? De Gea, great. We actually have both in the WSL as well. Both Mary Earps, who is England's national team keeper, and David De Gea, both from Manchester United, both Golden Glove winners with the most clean sheets in their respective leagues. But my prediction is this. Everton go down. Jordan Pickford, welcome to Manchester United. David De Gea playing in cups.
That'd be a hell of a pickup. I mean, that's
Jordan Pickford, Harry Kane will essentially have England 2.0. Let's do it.
No, I think Chelsea's going to get Harry Kane because we're going to trade Tottenham Harry Kane for Lukaku in a 1-for-1 swap.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
That actually, I would celebrate that one in a heartbeat.
I mean, I don't know how you get it past Chelsea fans.
He's not staying anywhere in London.
Having Maurizio Pochettino come essentially from Spurs, and then also Harry Kane come from Spurs. I think there'd be a riot in London, but God, that'd be funny.
That would be funny.
I understand that, Ron, because we didn't mention that, right? Officially, the Poch. We haven't had an episode.
Well, he's not official.
I don't think he's official yet.
He's not official yet.
It's strong possibility.
The club has not come out and officially, done the handshake, T-shirt signing kind of thing, right? Everybody's
so excited.
Okay, I'll keep this short because we're going way off center. But will he be better than what we have? Yes, I do agree with that. However, I still don't think he's going to bring us a style of football that is going to be in any way long-term and actually put us in position to win a final. But I think he is better than what we have currently. So
anybody's better than Frank Lampard.
And anybody's, better than the three other managers we had, except I think Thomas Tuchel was great for us. But
I think Poch is a good hire if that's the case. But we can get into that.
We'll let's argue about this afterwards.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of time to discuss that.
How bad will Spurs melt down if Chelsea won like a title with Poch?
That'd be awesome.
Especially if Harry Kane moved over.
That would be, yeah. I don't think Harry Kane goes anywhere else in London. But
if he did, that would be incredible.
That would be hysterical. Yep.
I know that Harry Kane is not coming to Chelsea, but it is fun to just, know.
Well, and going back real quick to Tottenham, they have played themselves out of a Champions League spot in the past few weeks, which they were contending for. They, as we said, they can only play now for the Europa Conference League, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But West Ham is playing in the Europa Conference League final. There's a final. They could win a European trophy, West Ham, against Fiorentina, I think. It's a Europa Conference League final.
And they're roughly 14th in the Premier League.
But relegation until recently.
Yeah, right. But so Tottenham are sitting on 57 points, Villa on 58 points, right? Brentford on 56 points. Brentford could get into Europe if Villa lose or even draw and Brentford win. They were more than likely go into that spot. That also needs Tottenham to lose or draw.
And Villa's playing Brighton. That's going to be a hell of a match.
Yes, but we'll kind of skip ahead here a little bit. Brighton, with their 3-1 win over Southampton, officially secure European, for the first time in their history, European play next season.
So great.
And not just that, they're going to be in Europa League. No chance of going down to the Conference League for them. They are officially nailed on in Europa League. So do they have anything to play for on Sunday? Maybe not. Maybe so. But they're kind of secured in that spot. But
you know what immediately springs to mind when you say those words? Potter, you should have stayed at Brighton.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Or not if you're a Brighton fan.
Yeah,
almost did Roberto did I can't whatever his last name is, but they almost did better. And he improved upon what Potter was doing, and boom, there they are. Their first time. They were what? Not too long ago, not even in the Premier League. They were down in the first division. What a feat for them. And that's the Europa League. So now we get into Champions League, because on Saturday, United with their 1-0 win.
Yeah.
It looked like Liverpool was going to lose, but Liverpool, faithful, been there forever. Roberto Firmino snags a point from him in the 89th minute of play with his last goal in front of the Cop End and in front of the Anfield faithful. That has a 1-1 draw. That keeps Liverpool's Champions League hopes alive. So on Saturday, what we knew was Liverpool needed to still win their last game. In the last two games from both United and Newcastle, who were playing on that Sunday, United played this Thursday, and then on the last day, if United and Newcastle gain a point, just a single point in any of those two matches, they are automatically secured for Champions League football. Well, Newcastle on Monday, and what we previously said for Leicester drew 0-0. That's a point for Newcastle. Newcastle officially in the Champions League. They're not going anywhere. They may go in the fourth place. They may go in the third place. Right now, they're currently in the third place.
They'll take it either way.
Exactly. So right now we have Brighton confirmed staying in the Europa League place. We have Man City, Arsenal, Newcastle for sure in the Champions League place. United play Chelsea on Thursday.
Ooh, Chelsea gonna spoil it? Frankie gonna spoil it?
No.
And then Fulham on Sunday. Both of those are at Old Trafford. If United get a single point, a 0-0 draw, a 1-1, Liverpool will officially be fifth and be in Europa League. If United lose both of those and Liverpool wins on that final day, then Liverpool will be in the Champions League.
A lot to watch for.
Well, maybe
on this
right.
This closing set of fixtures.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. There's still, while it's not major jumps, there's still a lot of fine tuning that's going to go on.
Well, and Liverpool could, in theory, move down to sixth if Brighton win their two in hand, because they're the only other team that's played 36. I think Brighton played Manchester City, if I'm not mistaken. And then I don't know who they play on the last day, but they could move up to fifth as well if Liverpool is to lose in their final game. But a lot to play for. Some teams that are in Europe that haven't been in Europe. ever or haven't been in the Champions League forever. Newcastle, what a job Sir Edward Howe of Newcastle has done. And they were in relegation when he came in last season. They're now in the Champions League. And Incredible. They really didn't spend that much when you think about it. And they are confirmed in the Champions League.
Hey, though, they have Champions League now. They are going to drop some coin and they'll be able to get people because they're in
Champions League football. Half Chelsea team is probably going to migrate over there.
Maybe.
And that's Bowley's going to offload all that stuff for financial fair play. Got to get rid of them. I still got the Lukaku for Kane
that
thing.
Would be great.
That'd be so great. It's not going to happen, but it'd be so great. Brighton's last 2 matches. City plays tomorrow. Right now we're recording Tuesday evening, East Coast time. So they play Brighton. Brighton plays City on Wednesday and then Villa on Sunday.
Still a few plays. By the time we get to Sunday, we could have a Champions League fight still, and for sure a relegation battle on the last day. That we know for sure is going to happen because all of those teams down there have played 37 games. So there's only 1 game left for all of those. It's only that United fixture on Thursday, which could put it down to the last day or not. If United lose on Thursday, it goes down to the last day on who gets that Champions League spot. If they get a draw or a win, United will be in the Champions League and Liverpool will be in Europa League. So after Thursday, we'll have a better idea of the actual race that's going on in a way. But what a weird kind of chaotic ending to the season this has been.
You gotta love it. This is why we follow.
Yep.
Fun until the end.
All the drama.
The relegation for the very bottom actually took longer than I thought it was going to take, to be honest, to go ahead and secure Southampton in that spot.
Yeah, right.
I thought that. All right. Well, shall we move from that to packing the pork with the Prince of Sausage?
That means it's halftime?
I really expected him to hit the wrong one.
I know. I did.
After what happened,
like a applause or.
All right. So, gents, does anyone know what happened on May 10th? Just a scant 13 days ago?
Bring us the beer news. Was that beer day? Official beer day? Craft beer day?
The World Beer Cup.
Oh.
Took place May 10th in Blake's current state of Tennessee.
Okay.
It happened in Nashville.
Okay.
The Brewers Association, which is the not-for-profit trade group that's kind of dedicated to promoting and protecting the small and independent craft brewers in the country. They had the World Beer Cup, which happens every year. 307 total winners. It's a lot of people entering.
Yeah.
I mean, 10,000 or more entries representing 51 countries, right? So the best beers in 103 beer categories covering 176 different beer styles, including all the various subcategories. So like subcategories would be, if you have IPAs, well, a subcategory of that would be hazy IPAs or juicy IPAs or
right.
However.
Right.
So judging the World Beer Cup took place over 18 sessions on 9 days. A panel of 272 judges from 26 countries evaluated 10,213 entries from 2,376 breweries in 51 countries. So in case that was confusing,
that is a little
51 countries entered the World Beer Cup, and it was 10,213 entries into the 103 different beer categories. And some interesting winners. We have a couple from Florida. We have a Fort Myers Brewing Company won silver for their chocolate stout, which is I've never had, but it sounds quite tasty. Also, you know who else won right here from Orlando? That's a guess, gentlemen.
Tactical?
Nope.
Gatling Hall.
Gatling Hall.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, Gatling Hall won another.
For the Dortmunder, right?
Yes.
I love that one. I always get that when I go there. That's fantastic.
Gatling Hall is right, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so from the studio where we record. And man, they are just crushing beers at the Great American Beer Fest.
Mm-hmm.
They won gold medal for
their Vienna lager.
The Vienna lager, yeah. And now they've won another beer. Well, they've won another. They won a silver for their Dortmunder export or German style Oktoberfest. You can go to the beer. The Brewers Association website, and you can see all the winners for all the different categories. But what an incredible, you should just take a look at the list of breweries that have won various things. Lone Pine Brewing from Portland, Maine. You've got other interesting ones from Texas, Ohio, Oregon, Wilmington, Delaware. I mean, just all over the place. There's ones for the experimental beer, right? Which is things like Japanese rice lagers or Abret Sesamos, which is kind of a cross between a golden and an IPA. And a brewery in Buenos Aires, Argentina won the gold on that one.
Nice.
So lots of really interesting beers. If you travel around, one of the cool things I like to do is whenever I am going to a new state, I will look at the last Great American Beer Festival results or the World Beer Cup Festival results. And I'll be like, oh, well, I'm in Anchorage, Alaska. I'm going to go to the 49th State Brewing and check out their Trappist in Paradise, which is a Belgian style ale that just won silver. And I'll go hunt that down and give it a whirl.
Heck yeah.
Right? So go over to the Brewers Association, check out all the information. But the World Beer Cup happened on May 10th, and lots of really, really good winners.
That's awesome. Good for them, because I love that Dortmund under. They it's been one of the ones on there for a while, and it's fantastic. I get it almost every time I go, and I rarely switch because it's just so damn good, and it's weird to find that kind of German style around anywhere.
Yeah,
so
not many.
Good for them. Yeah,
not many people do it.
Not a lot of breweries do Dortmunders at all. It's kind of the same way with like Mexican lagers. Not a lot do that. So rice lagers, not a lot do that. So it's one of those type of styles, and they do lagers extremely well there. So I'm glad they finally got they got acknowledged for the gold with the Vienna, but then just again with another one of their lagers getting some silverware. So that's awesome.
Yeah, pretty great. Like I said, go check out the Brewers Association website. You can become a member and kind of as a casual observer, and you get all this really fun, interesting beer news. They also have a lot of classes for learning about beer on the website. Some of them are free, some of them aren't, but there's a ton of really cool information that if you're a fan of beer, you can go onto that website and just fall down the hole for hours reading about different beers and why they made different glasses and all the different hop extracts and what's the difference between, a dry malt and a malt extract, and why would you use the two? And I mean, everything you want to know about beer is on that website, and it's pretty great. So go check it out. That's our beer news.
Bring us back in to the second half.
Yes, the second half starts currently.
Oh, that's
I think it's just one. I think it's just one. Don't we have just a whistle for one?
Is that back from the half?
No.
And then the end of the game is 3, right?
We only have this one. That's it. The next sound you put on was this. And
I thought
no. You don't have another whistle on here. Sorry.
We're going to have to go back to the drawing board for our final end of game whistle.
Oh, we do have this, which is my favorite.
If I woke up tomorrow with my head sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be more surprised than I am right now.
A fan favorite.
Yep.
Always an appropriate time.
Yeah.
Well,
Ferris, do you want to take us into the La Liga's roundup?
well, I have to wait for Ron to get back on the board to the right sound effect. Two. Here it was again.
The La Liga's roundup. Amazing.
Oh man,
And this is my rehearsal.
this has been an interesting one.
Talk to us about this, Ferris. We need to know about the sexiest crest coming to the Premier League.
Oh yeah. As Blake and I discussed on our last pod, there were a couple of teams with some fun crests, and guess what? They're both playing each other. It's about damn time. And before we head over to mainland Europe, we will stay in England, as on the last pod, as I just said. Blake and I were talking about the promotion playoffs and the championship that gets you into the Premier League. Well, on tonight's pod, right now, in this moment, there are two final teams that are going to play on Saturday, May 27th. So this coming Saturday, 11:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. These two teams will be Coventry City and Luton Town. Yes, Coventry and Luton Town. Blake and I were going back and forth and arguing with Crest and Kits on the last pod about those two teams. And guess what? We are going to have one of them in the Premier League. If you're not familiar or you didn't listen to the last pod, the two teams already going up are in first place Burnley and in second place Sheffield United. So these two teams play for that third and final spot again this Saturday. Coventry got there via a 1-0 aggregate win over Middlesbrough and a Gustav Hammer's lone goal in the second match on the road in the 57th minute was enough for the Sky Blues to advance. Yes, Coventry City is called the Sky Blues. Meanwhile, despite losing 2-1 to Sunderland in the first match, Luton Town's 2-0 win at the 10,356 seat stadium capacity, 10,000 in that stadium. That's not very many people. But loud and awesome group. If you haven't seen pictures online of where this stadium is and the ground looks awesome. It's Kenilworth. I'm sorry. Kenilworth Road. Thank you.
How many? 5,000? Is that the 5,000 seater?
That's 10,356.
Jeez, man.
Kenilworth Road. Anyways, the Hatters, as they're called, they won 3-2 on aggregate with that 2-0 win, and both of them get a chance to fight to be in the Premier League.
Do we have a favorite?
I mean, I was going heavy on Coventry last time, but after seeing Kenilworth Road online and some pictures and how it's like in somebody's backyard,
right?
I don't know, man. I'm good with either. To be honest with you, I think we have not seen these teams, and Coventry or Luton, one of them. Like Luton hasn't been in the Premier League since the 80s. Like it's been, we have not seen in the modern day, and for what the Premier League, since the Premier League has been in inception, neither of these teams have been in the Premier League. So looking forward to it.
Can't wait.
I love it. If you search the stadium, one of the first articles that pops up is a recent one saying Luton's Kenilworth Stadium road is crumbling but deserves a Premier League chance. I mean, someone's gonna be like, there might be people like no shirt on, can of lager in their hand, leaning out of the window watching the game.
Right, that's the one where like people's houses
fine.
are part of the stadium, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have people that can just sit in their living rooms and watch the match because their balcony kind of looks out into the stadium.
Yeah.
And then there's turnstiles to get into the match in an alley between two sets of row homes. That's going to be so fun. I can't wait to hear what Rebecca Lowe is going to have to say about that kind of stuff.
Right.
Oh, I love it.
Well, it's about damn time. And would you look at that as Borussia Dortmund not only sit atop of the Bundesliga table, but have their fate in their hands for the title. And it's all going to go down to the last match day of the season, which is coming up this Saturday, I believe. With their 3-0 win over Augsburg on Sunday and Bayern's 3-1 loss to RB Leipzig on Saturday, the Black and Yellows of Dortmund currently sit 2 points above Munich on 70 points. So, Dortmund could win the title a few different ways. One, the most straight up, you win, you're in, right? You win the title. They play at home against Mainz. Done, dusted. No matter what Bayern do, they win the Bundesliga title. 2, a loss or draw by Munich away to Cologne will secure them the title, no matter the result of the simultaneously played Dortmund match. So, not very likely. Cologne are a bit down there in the table. Mainz are a little bit further up there in 7th or 8th spot. Dortmund do play at home. Bayern do play at home, if I'm not mistaken. No, I'm sorry. They're away to Cologne. Dortmund win. They win the title. They don't win. They're now relying on Cologne to do something that would probably, be a shock to Bayern, who will probably just be trying to win that game and seeing what Dortmund do in front of the yellow wall. So, come on, you black and yellows.
You think Thomas Tuchel did as good a job as he should have? No. Or do you think there's a bit of a Chelsea hangover there?
No. It's a bit of a Chelsea hangover.
Yeah. I expect that he's going to have to, if they don't win the league and they scrape out a second place, they're going to have to go to the drawing board a bit on the summer in the off time, get themselves collectively pointed in one direction, and then I think Tuchel time could help take over. But the way it is now, I feel like things are so fragmented.
Well, it's a bit like Chelsea in a way. A lot of high-priced players, no number 9. No Lewandowski this year for Bayern. A lot of talent, a lot of young talent too. Usala, a lot of these false 9s, and Mueller, Musala, and some of the others. Sadio Mane, not really a big impact this season.
Yeah,
for them. Injured for a lot. Sane, you have a lot of these very talented wingers and center attackers, and who does that sound like? Chelsea.
But that really has nothing to do with Tuchel. Right? Tuchel took over the death of the season.
Right, but just a lot of similarities there. Just a lot of talent, and obviously the Bayern have kind of a hold on the league, so they're up there. But to kind of give this title away a little bit, or allow Dortmund to have it in their own hands now, is quite interesting. So if you're not watching the Bundesliga, you got to. 9:30 a.m. this Saturday is when these matches take place.
When did he step in to Bayern?
Right after Nagelsmann. Right? That's not Nagelsmann?
Yeah, but that would have been what?
That was not too long ago.
Tuchel got fired from Chelsea before the World Cup, right?
Correct.
And then and then Nagelsmann got fired sometime in March, I think.
March 23rd, he was announced. There it is.
So he's not been there very long.
No, not at all. Yes, I don't know how much you can put on that. That's pretty late.
They also got smoked by Man City in the Champions League before. But anyway, they are what we already talked about. Anyways, it's about damn time, and as many of you already know by now, there are a few already winners in the top flights of European soccer. Napoli are champions of Italy. If you missed that was a few weeks back by a landslide. They have been the best team and have not won it since the Maradona years. It's just a staggering number, and for them to fight as long as they did in the Champions League, just an awesome feat. And if you haven't seen pictures and images of that city just going wild,
for days. That city went wild for days. Yep. The fireworks. There's a reporter standing kind of in the very city center, and he's just got his camera up and he's panning all the way around. 4 days after they won the title. Wow. There's fireworks just everywhere. And there's, bus parades and people just partying in the streets like crazy. What a great time to be in that city, to watch all this partying happen.
Absolutely.
For them to
not even close either. Like, that just landslide. Awesome. Barcelona, champions of Spain. They were given the good guard of honor this past week in their match. It was a 4-2 win last week over Espanyol, which kind of secured that. And it secures our 27th Liga title.
Even though they were chased off the field afterwards.
Yeah, right.
For not even, I mean, it wasn't really that much celebrating.
No.
But,
they have been the best team in the league this season, while Madrid kind of focused on other, their Champions League seems to be their bread and butter, and that's what they were going to up until they came across Man City. But it should be noted here, absolutely appalling in Spain of the racial slurs that have once again been thrown at Vinicius Jr.
Yeah.
And a lot of call to arms there in terms of a lot of former players, pundits, you name it, pretty much everybody's saying, at this point, this has been fool me once, fool me twice, way too many times. And Liga, Spain have to come down hard. You have to make an example at this point, because it's continuing to happen, and it's absolutely disgusting. It has zero place, not only in the game, but in our world in general. And if Spain and the Liga don't get this under control, then shame on them.
Well, you know what's kind of, I don't know, telling in a lot of ways is that the various police departments that have been investigating all of this over some number of months have come out and said, we arrested 4 people for creating an effigy of Vinicius Jr. and hanging it from a bridge. Then they came out today and said that they arrested 3 of the culprits that they think were people leading racist chants. But videos come out all the time in a unacceptable joking manner where entire sections of the stadium are chanting racial slurs at various players, especially in Spain. And then the league wants a pat on the back for arresting 3 fans. That's not acceptable. That is nowhere near enough. And the guy's playing in Spain. It's absolutely unacceptable.
It's shocking. It's disturbing. It has happened over and over again there. And, you're talking, this was in Valencia for this. You need to do something. Yes, arrest those that started the chants and yada, 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 and that stuff's good. But when you're talking entire sections of the stadium, that's behind closed doors for the first half of the season. Screw that, for the whole season. You don't think that that's going to get the point across to the club and to the fan that if there's sections of the stadium that are doing this, they have to do something. Yes, some games have been played behind closed doors, but clearly it's not getting the point across to all clubs and to the league in general. Points deduction, yes. Something much more strong and something much more severe. And it should be noted, this unfortunate thing happens everywhere, right? It seems to be more prominent in Spain and more prominent in Italy, where a lot of these behind closed doors and that sort of things, there's abuse that gets thrown at English players online. You look at, what was it, 2 years ago during the Euros, Sancho, Saka, and Rashford for their missed pens.
I mean, Rashford was getting it this year.
Yeah, it's absolutely shocking. Something in Spain and in Italy when these things happen, and in England when these things happen, has to be dealt with stronger, because it's clearly not. All these campaigns of no room for racism and those things are all great, and I'm sure have helped on several ways. But when you have something like this, that even you look at the online rhetoric, it's like, come on, like, serious is happening again to this particular player over and over is just, it's
because
it's disappointing.
You know what's even worse about it? It's happening to players who are genuinely good, have worked on their craft, have dug themselves out of, maybe not the greatest upbringing situations have become good, have become amazing athletes.
Play with a smile, like just
and play their hearts out for these fans who, not granted, it's not all of them, but it's just so sad. And there's no reason for it. None of that changes the fact that this player kicked your team's.
Yeah, or dribbled around somebody, or scored a goal, or celebrated a goal. It's uncalled for.
I think points deduction is one of a really good. Okay, you want to scream that? Great, you get a ban. When we find out who you are, we get a ban. You get a ban, and your team loses points.
Yeah.
So good job.
Yeah. And the last, like, PSG over in French Ligue 1, they've just gobbled up a lot of points. However, they're not actually fully crowned champions yet. It would take quite a turn. And what I mean by that is they are 6 points clear of second place Lens with 2 matches left. In order for Lens to win the title, they would not only have to win both of their last 2 games, while PSG lose both of their last 2 games, but Lens would have to make up a 16 goal difference in those 2 games. Pretty more than likely not going to happen. Not yes, I guess PSG could lose 5-0 and then 13-0 in the next, or whatever it is, and Lens could win, and then all of a sudden, oh, look at that goal difference. But the odds of that happening, not very good. Yes, they may lose 2 and Lens may win 2, but the goal difference is just it's pretty out there,
pretty insurmountable.
Yep. So look for PSG to probably be named and crowned champions this weekend.
And then Messi leaves for Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Yep.
But he didn't, guys.
No.
But just remember, he didn't realize that day that he left practice to go to Saudi Arabia to broker the deal, he thought he was off that day. And
it was hysterical.
And it was a vacation. He wasn't going to broker a deal.
Okay.
So
yeah. And that was your La Liga's roundup. Yeah, Ron gets it right at the end of the pod.
End it strong. Well, speaking of ending it strong, let's end how we started. Our beers, the pod. I had the gay beer, a golden blonde lager, which was delicious. What'd you guys have again?
We had Rise of the Pinatas by Tactical Brewing, a Mexican lager brewed in Mexicali barrels.
Do you mean mezcal barrels?
Sure, I make stuff up.
I'm so used to you guys doing a couple beers. I forgot. Ferris, you got a Zlatan quote you looking up while I say thank you for listening. Please follow us on the socials, the Twitters, the Untapped, all that jazz. Leave us a rating review. Tell your friends, families, and loved ones about us. We'd appreciate it. You got a quote there, Ferris?
I do.
He does.
I mean, this is quite the thought here. He is quoted as saying, "I am the greatest." Wait, is that even possible? All right, then I'm the greatest behind Muhammad Ali. And then below it, they wrote in this book, Zlatan is happy to be number 2 for once.
That's like a rare bit of humility.
We have a Zlatan sound effect. Did you guys know that?
I do we?
There's only one Zlatan.
Spoken by the man
I added
himself.
that in last time.
I saw that was new on the board, and I was like, wait.
Ferris,
Sir,
I have a question for you.
go on.
If you're singing in the shower and you get soap in your mouth, what do you call it?
Soap opera?
Bingo. That was a good one. I'm going to ask you another question then.
Okay.
What's a crafty dancer's favorite hobby? A crafty dancer's favorite hobby. You got 1 point already.
I don't know. Artistic something?
Cutting a rug. What kind of music do chiropractors like, Ferris?
Something break.
Hip hop. I love that one. Actually got to you. That was my plan of the day. I was just going to grab several so I could see what I got.
Nice.
You're welcome. We need to do one of those series fairs where we sit on a dock somewhere.
Yes. Yeah. I've been telling you guys, I love that. Great. There's some classics that come out of there.
We could do it with Zlatan quotes, though.
We could.
Yeah,
we could.
right?
We absolutely could. There just seems to be ones, or even if it's not a quote, not something he said on Twitter or something that somebody else has said and he's just responded to. It's brilliant.
Or like we did before, you take the Chuck Norris quotes and you just switch them to Zlatan.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, ladies and jelly spoons, I believe that is all of us. Thanks again for listening. Gentlemen, raising up for you. Love the beer. Cherish the game. The Brutiful Game.